right, we are getting ready in about one more minute to wrap up today's session. We're going to continue to monitor those that are joining our session today. So we'll make sure that everyone is admitted as we kind of wait here. If you have not done so, or if you missed an evaluation for one of the sessions that you attended, in the chat box, I have added that link. I want to double check that it is there and that you have access. We will share that link directly there with you in the chat box so you can fill that out and make sure that you've done that for every session that you've attended. So I will put that in the chat box now. This is the evaluation. We'll share it again at the end of our time together, but I did want you to have a moment to fill out our evaluation. Make sure that you filled it out for every session that you've attended. So if you happen to miss one, let's say you attended the communication session and didn't get it filled out, if you could just take a moment to fill that out now, that would be incredibly helpful for our team. All right, so we're gonna go on ahead and end a wonderful day of sessions. Thank you all. I understand how busy our schedules are. I also understand that many of you are transitioning into summer, and so we appreciate that you came back to spend this day with us and to learn alongside your peers from Indiana and beyond. And we appreciate all of you joining from so many different time zones and dedicating your time here today. With our project success team. So just a couple of things as we wrap up day one. Tomorrow's sessions will be focused around administrators, but there's lots of great content. So if you're a teacher leader in your district, feel free to go on ahead and set up your schedule to go on ahead and attend tomorrow's sessions. If your session on presumed competence, I know Ashley had to do kind of a shortened version of that, please join us back tomorrow. That's another session that's going to be provided or in the morning tomorrow. So feel free to jump into your schedule, add that to your session, and join again tomorrow and join that session, or you can join any of our sessions, all focusing around inclusive practices and actions. And we want to see you there. So feel free to join again tomorrow. The focus will be for administrators, but there will be something to take away for each and every one of you. And again, we thank you for your time. As we kind of wrap up today, we want to save some space for you all to share some takeaways. We've had some pretty tremendous speakers today, from supports for families all the way to universal design for learning, to communication in the classroom to make sure that we've been inclusive, to specific inclusive examples and partnerships between general educators and special educators, and the partnership that brings and the inclusivity that it brings to all of our learners, and really supporting all types of learners, but especially those with significant disabilities. So we want to hear a little bit from you here in just a minute and open up the floor. I wanted to also share just a couple of upcoming opportunities that we are hoping to share with all of you today, that we'll be launching in the future. And then we want you to feel comfortable sharing your experience today and tomorrow on our social media. So our Twitter page is @ProjectSuccess4, the number 4. Our Facebook page is Project Success Indiana, or IN. And we want you to jump in and join those, share something, follow us, and just continue the conversations on inclusive practices in action. So feel free to share a highlight from today, or just a quote from one of our speakers, or just something you're doing in your own schools and classrooms across Indiana and beyond. So we would love to hear from you today. We always like to keep our inclusive practices framework in front of us. It guides the work that we do as a Project Success Resource Center. It guides the work that we do as we're coaching and supporting educators and supporting administrators. And it centers us as our resource center and making sure that we're following these inclusive practices in how we coach and how we support educators. And we hope that you can take away and bring this to your own classroom, your own school, your own district, and make it meaningful for you, and most importantly, meaningful at that individual level to support your students and those that you collaborate with, your colleagues, your paraprofessionals. We can never forget the importance of sharing all of this with parents and paraprofessionals alike. So within our inclusive practices framework, we always start with establishing that need for change, really identifying the impact, identifying your why, and making sure that that is the center stone of all that you do. Gathering that guiding team is so essential, making sure that you have individuals representing general education, making sure that you have your SLPs, making sure you have your related service providers, and making sure you have those very supportive administrators to help support your journey. We know that having the proper team to help guide and support your next steps in inclusive practices is so essential. One thing that Project Success has done, and if you've attended any of our sessions last year, you've seen this inclusive practice framework in action, but also we have recorded all of those sessions that walks you through implementing this inclusive practices framework. So we will make sure that that is added to the chat box today so that you can go back and revisit that. Creating the vision is always as I mentioned, the center stone for establishing the need for change. Creating the vision is the how. It's the guide that walks you through the process. And we make sure that that is really important, and not only established as a team, that you're having those conversations with your guiding team, but you're also having a moment to share that vision, not only within that guiding team, but across your building and between and amongst all of the other supportive groups within your district and school. Making sure you take action. And then one of the biggest standouts from our session this morning when we had our presenters was the importance of securing the small wins. I heard it come up in our trifecta, the inclusive trifecta presentation. I heard it in Lisa Paddock's presentation on inclusive practices and supports for families. Identifying small wins, celebrating those small wins, and then amplifying them to help support your inclusive practices and reaching that vision alike. And then always we're looking at what needs to be adjusted, how can we reflect, how can we learn more, and how can we continue to grow that guiding team? How do we continue to support that team? And then setting the norm as we move forward. How do we make this a part of our school culture, our school community, and beyond? One thing that always stands out to me is if we need to go back and revisit any aspect of our inclusive practices framework, it's okay to do so. In fact, that's what and why reflect, analyze, and adjust is right there towards the end. It is okay if we need to go back and look at how we gather our guiding team or how we share the vision. We can always go back as long as we're keeping the vision in front of us and the established need for change in front of us to guide our journey. So I wanted to just continue to share this and keep it in front of you. And if you attend tomorrow, you're going to see it several times again, because we like to keep it as the center stone of what we're doing and how we move forward in our work with Project Success. So our objectives, we've reviewed them several times, but I want to save some time and some space to review where and how to get our resources, and then most importantly, open up the lines and some space either in the chat box or if you feel comfortable unmuting, to just kind of share out your biggest takeaways. What's something you're going to implement? So if you haven't done so already, please go to projectsuccessindiana.com, select on the events, and you can pull up our conference page, which has our Summer Institute 21. So you'll see it. It's right there at the top. In fact, as soon as you land on our conference page, it is the first conference at the top. So you just click go, and you should have access to everything. As we continue to add resources, like our recordings, those will sit in those each presentation's designed area as well. So wanted you to know that as you go through the educator sessions and you have the presentation, we'll add the recording there, and we encourage you to share those recordings with any and all of your collaborators and your colleagues as alike. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a couple of guiding questions in the chat box. Heidi has added all of our inclusive practices information from 22, so last summer, 2020, and then as well as this summer as well. So you have access to all of that. But I am going to put some guiding questions you can answer in the chat box, or you can unmute and feel free to just kind of introduce yourself and where you're from, and then share one of the biggest takeaways from today. What are you going to implement as soon as possible to help impact your learners? So what would you implement as soon as possible to impact your learners? It can be a specific tool, it could be a resource, it could be just a philosophy or a strategy that you heard today. So we'll pause. Again, what will you implement as soon as possible to impact your learners? The biggest takeaways. Krista shared peer tutors, and I would love to hear just an expansion on any of these. I may ask you to share a little bit more. I want to start a program, but not sure how. Okay, we're implementing peer tutors, and we have just the right people on here to help support that. We'll make sure we get you connected. So biggest implement, and feel free to unmute, and just all I ask is if someone else is speaking, just to yield to them. All right, making assistive tech a serious consideration at every IEP meeting. Absolutely, in that alignment to the communication needs of each individual student, I think is such an essential piece of what and how we support our learners, making that an intentional focus at every IEP meeting and every collaborative setting as well, and making that part of your guiding teams as you're meeting to have these conversations. Thank you for sharing that. What other takeaways? I'm going to look. What were some things? What do you want to implement? We heard use of peer tutors. We heard making assistive technology a serious consideration at every IEP meeting. Angie says taking back to my general education PLC team. I'm going to scroll up here so I have it. So that we're having that, as it's often not a lack of ability, but a lack of opportunity that affects the student outcome. Therefore, how can we facilitate those opportunities? And many of our teachers that shared this morning talked about those organic first steps, you know, that partnership. If you attended the inclusive trifecta, starting with those opportunities to have those conversations, to join a PLC, to sit down with a general educator and really have those co-planning opportunities, to lean in on subject matter expertise of so many of our general educators. It came up time and time again. Amy Zimmer from Penn High School mentioned it as well, just how she started to connect and join those biology professional learning groups, and making sure that that was a natural part of what she was doing. In that partnership of we can't understand it all, so we lean into those subject matter experts to help us get there. Krista said, I will ask my paras to watch these sessions, and it's important for them to hear it and see it as well. Absolutely. And I can also tell you, for those of you, as you're thinking about how we support our paraprofessionals, all of these sessions are absolutely so important to share with our paraprofessionals, our IAs, our support staff. But we also have on our website a whole paraprofessional page that can help guide you in some of the conversations that we had today: collaboration, student communication. We have specific webinars specifically for paras. So please share that, but also consider what else we have to share as well, which are those para webinars, and we'll make sure we add that. How I consider AT needs, including that in the IEP process. Also keeping good goals in place and monitoring how especially design instruction impacts the progress towards each goal. Thank you, Andrea. Um, Allowing for students to have the benefit of general education, absolutely, and making sure that that programming is aligned and that we're not so worried about the gap. We're worried about how we provide those correct supports so that that student can have individual success and growth. Accessing our environments for visuals that support communication and content for all learners. Yes, absolutely. You will hear our team talk about communication is the foundation of any type of learning, and also that power of mastery exposure. And Ashley spoke to mastery and exposure today as well. Joy Rowe, I want to partner more with general education teachers to guide my curriculum planning and building pacing guides and progress of the skills. We can't say that enough times. Please make sure you're having those conversations. If you need support and what the curriculum mapping process or what that could look like, we have lots of resources on our website at Project Success Indiana, but we also have several experts, teacher leaders who have done it, so you can lean in on them as well to help guide you in that process. Continue to utilize the expertise of general educators. Perfect. Randy wrote, today really increased my awareness of all student support and students. I feel empowered to explore all pathways of communication in all directions in my classroom. Excellent. And if you need support, if you attended the communication presentation earlier, you can find several resources on Project Success website, but please venture into that presentation by Jenna and Rachel, and there's lots of wonderful, easy to implement supports, resources, and tools there as well. Sharing with parents how to ask about peer tutors in the case conference, so parents can get that conversation started at the school level and get the school to start asking how, helping parents understand how to ask about inclusion practices in the child's school. Absolutely. Excellent. Continue to share those. We'll continue to read those and making sure that you feel like you have the right tools. Again, tomorrow, as we jump into the administrator session, I really encourage you, if you didn't get to attend that presumed competence session today, it's being offered again tomorrow. So I encourage you to join us again there, and it is within Sched so that you can get acquainted there. The other thing that I really ask you to do is jump on and share some of this on social media. We'll put in the chat box just a few of our social media handles. I mentioned Facebook and Twitter. I'll scoot back to that here in just a minute. But please share that out. These are important to capture. It's important to make sure that we're being intentional at including our students with significant disabilities and making sure that we're doing so with intention and collaborative support with our general education peers. Sonia Rowe, it's important for me as a teacher to try different things to show me what they know. Absolutely. Important to expand the students' opportunities, and in turn will help the students move toward independence. Absolutely. Making sure that we're giving students that dignity to try and that dignity to be provided the supports and services to do so. Communication boards on the playground. So if you haven't heard about this, Kara's speaking to the communication boards on the playground, and one of our school districts here near Indianapolis, Greenwood Community Schools, worked in partnership with their construction teachers to create choice boards and communication boards for their playground, and it was on wheels so that it was completely accessible. And that is exactly what Kara's mentioning there in the chat box as well. Thank you, Monica. That's an excellent point, that no child is left behind, and that we have to be the champion to help bridge opportunities and bridge inclusive practices. And remember that starting small is such an important piece, and we forget how something as simple as a conversation with general education, working in partnership with a PLC, that these things can have amplified effects and help continue the movement. Awesome. Amy just shared that they've received a grant to implement communication boards on the playgrounds. So that's excellent at that those lower elementary levels to make sure that all students have opportunities to communicate in all areas of the school environment. All right. So if you have not heard, Project Success is shifting quickly for our past summer and into fall for some really important engagement opportunities for you. So our team will be offering some open demos to help talk through what professional development will look like in the 21-22 school year to support teachers of students with significant disabilities. So our next session will be on Monday, June 14th. It's just about a half an hour. And what we do is we walk you through Playbook. Playbook is a tool that we use to connect teachers from all over to collaborate and communicate and to work at their own pace through professional development with a project success coach. This goes in partnership with virtual professional development, and it is very individualized for teacher needs. So we have a playbook and coaching and professional development opportunities for special education teachers who may be new or even veteran special education teachers. We have 2 cohorts going there. And then we also are launching our emerging teacher leader cohort using Playbook to help bring our teams together and share ideas and information. We'll meet monthly with our emerging teacher leaders. All of those incredible teachers that you saw presenting this morning on our panel have gone through that program. And then everyone who shared today during the sessions, all were teacher leaders who have gone through our teacher leader cohort. And we're launching and demoing that as early as August 25th and 26th. So we would love for you to learn more about that through our open demos on the June 14th or July 7th. And we would love for you to connect with us and let us know your level of interest in either the special education supports and the professional development or the emerging teacher leader opportunity. Another piece that I would be in trouble if I didn't mention it because it is so important is our new Teacher Jumpstart. And our new Teacher Jumpstart allows for novice teachers to join together on the 18th and 19th of August. We're going to be offering this to any new special educator. So, traditionally Project Success supports students with significant disabilities and teachers who support them. We're opening this up to any new special educator. We will have specific content for our teachers of students with significant needs, but it is going to be inclusive for all. And we will be providing foundational skills. These are 2 half-day sessions that we encourage you to just click to learn more. And if that's something that you would like to do, please register or connect with me. I'll add my email into the chat box here to learn and do some more with us in regards to the new Teacher Jumpstart. So if you have questions, please join us June 14th or July 7th to learn more. And I will again add our evaluation in the chat box. Continue, we'll stay on here for a couple more minutes. Thank you, Heidi. We'll stay on here. If there's other celebrations, please share that. Please jump onto social media and share there as well. And if you haven't done so already, please check out the sessions that will be provided tomorrow, June 9th. We would love to have you. Even if you join the Presume Competence session, we would love to have you for any or all of the sessions. It'll be another great day of professional development, and it's just a half day tomorrow, so we hope that you're able to join us. So I'll hang out here. If there are any questions, thank you again for your time. I know it's fleeting, especially in 2020, 2021, but we thank you for your time this summer, and we hope that there has been some really meaningful conversations today and sessions that really helped support you in your next steps. So I will hang out here. Feel free to complete the evaluation for those sessions that you didn't get to complete yet. And we will hopefully see you tomorrow. All right, thank you. I'll hang out right here. And please fill out that awesome evaluation if you haven't done so already.